Hello all, this is Salad Cream Boy here after God knows how many days, months, years, decades, millennia, or however. Welcome. Any of my subscribers who might be watching on replay will realise I've not been on for a very long time. Um, I don't think it's fair for me to speak on mental health where there's been a good amount of issues over the last couple of years. So, getting through that. But anyway, that's not the point of this video. I say video because you are watching something on screen, I guess. And this is kind of impromptu. I wasn't kind of planning on a live stream today. However, something happened overnight. Let's say overnight. It happened a couple of weeks ago, I guess. Anyone who's watching this live stream who has seen any kind of thumbnail or other YouTube over the past 24 hours that watches news may have known about a young lady from Charlotte, who lived in Charlotte in North Carolina, was stabbed a couple of weeks ago on public transport. And this was due to someone who has committed crimes over about 14 times, sentenced to jail, let out of jail, sentenced to jail, let out of jail, etc., etc., etc. And it just went on. And the reason for this is because, well, you probably saw the title of my live stream. Now, I just want to preface this with a couple of things. So I must tell everyone that I am an immigrant. I moved from the UK to the US. I do have a green card, all is above board, paid the fees, had the interviews, etc., etc. I now have a job. Essentially, outside of the persecution thing, which, okay, as you can probably think, everything that's going on in the UK at the moment, you probably think, yeah, it might be persecution, but for the sake, well, the truth is, I actually moved over here because relationship. It could have been a case that I moved over to the stayed in the UK. She moved over there, but we decided to move here, and the rest is history. Now, last night, early this morning, whenever the hell the time was, I come across this story, and the difference between this and any others, at least in the last few years, decade, whatever, you didn't necessarily see the whole thing go on frame by frame. And it wasn't released to the point that the stabbing had been put out to the public where it was cut off at the last second, at least not for a very long time anyway, considering all the censorship that's going on these days. And what kind of blew me away was the fact that kind of desensitized to a lot of things at the moment. I don't know if you guys are as well, anyone watching this. But this kind of took me back. And as I watched the video, and it was being replayed and replayed over, I actually saw it on Fox News. And then I saw the comments from President Trump, which, to be fair, normal comments. It's a horrific thing. It's not necessarily anything you want to see on TV or like a news channel or anything like that. But hey ho, that's what we was putting up with over the last 24 hours. But President Trump, yeah, his heart goes out and pray for the victim's family, etc., etc., etc. All the standard, this is a really bad thing. Haven't really seen anything from President Trump yet, as of filming this live stream, to say Democrat bad, Democrat evil, etc., etc. I'm just guessing that this is a blind spot for him, that because it hasn't really been covered over the last couple of weeks by all left wingers like now NBC, whatever the hell it's called, and CNN, and all the rest of those. It's kind of flown under everyone's radar until now, which is a very bizarre thing to happen. Considering that, I don't know, whenever it was that George Floyd was killed by the policeman, whatever you might think about that, it was covered immediately. And it just seemed to take 2 weeks for this to come out. But anyway, as I was watching it, I couldn't really think of anything else. But I'm an immigrant just like her, but for different reasons. But I'm an immigrant nonetheless. Done it all the right way, have the job and everything, even have the uniform. Only real difference really at the moment, outside of maybe over the last couple of months or so, I haven't been really using public transport, and I've been going around in a car. Not to say that completely invulnerable in a car, you're still getting out and actually walking to the store, etc. But I'm in uniform, minding my own business, so this could happen to me. That's more really thinking that, oh my God, this could happen to my wife at any time, anywhere. And honestly, again, I just said it before a few minutes ago. I'm kind of desensitized because ever since the whole internet thing kind of really took off with YouTube, you see a lot of and hear about a lot of horror, and you do kind of it's really, really inhumane to say this, and I get it, but this is something where it just all becomes white noise to a point. It isn't right that it does. It's just that there's so many bad things happening in this world at this point that it kind of does. It shouldn't happen. It just does. But anyway, um, the reason why I'm making a live stream about this now and not any death over the past, well, however long it's been since I've had a channel now, I'm guessing about 3 to 4 years. Um, this is kind of breaking point. Just recently, we had a Irish comedian be pulled by the police in UK. We've had like the Lake and Riley thing and all the rest of it. And all we get from, I'm not going to get onto Starmer yet. Let's focus on the Democrats because, well, what just happened was in America. All we have from Democrats is everyone who is following Trump is wrong. Trump is wrong. Trump is wrong. We hate Trump. We hate Trump. And they are accusing Trump of all the things that they've done themselves. And they've used the media, law, and everything they can to get him out of the country. Not the country, but to put him in jail. Now, I'm not here to give you any kind of rhetoric or anything, but love Trump or hate Trump, any kind of political party that is using the law or anything to get their adversaries out of the running is essentially dictatorship. It could be the Democrats, it could be, I don't know, UK's Munster Raven Looney Party or anything like that. But if you're going to try and get your opposition out of the race by cheating, and bear in mind, it's kind of different in the US because they have a two-party thing. So if Trump or the Republicans are disbanded for any reason, they don't have any opposition. So it would theoretically be a dictatorship because there's no one to vote for unless they're going to be voting for people with their own parties. So there's that. But anyway, you get this, you get all the stuff about crime over the US and President Trump trying to sort that out. And again, disagree or agree with the way that Trump is going about things, what we are constantly getting are the left, and it doesn't necessarily need to be the Democrats. It could be the Labour Party. They're literally going to basically saying anything the opposition is doing is evil. Now, what this kind of does is that, let's just say for the sake of argument, you don't necessarily agree with the Democrats, but you don't want Trump in power either. what what do you do? And it kind of gives you the sense of nihilism. What's the point? And all that. Definitely in the UK, because the two parties. I mean, we got the UK reform thing going on right now, but like a year ago, you'd think, what is the point? And you're just hoping to God they just get out, and hopefully the next party is going to be lesser two evils. That's going to have a massive effect on people's mental health. Now, at the moment, from what, well, sorry, not at the moment, right now, what I kind of hear about Charlotte, in North Carolina, is that it's kind of a nice place, kind of a suburby type of area that I think she was living in. And it's the kind of area that I'm living in now. And I kind of think that, I mean, 'cause I'm in Boston, and even though, yes, blue states and all the problems seem to be with the blue states right now, from what I keep hearing, um, it kind of makes me think, my God, did I like walk out the front door? And honestly, with the Democrats keep going on about the killers and their mental health, what about the mental health of the people who are not only just the victims, but people watching the news reports like this? And it kind of makes you feel like, should I get on a bus? Should I get a taxi? I don't really have the money to get a taxi if I can't drive, which I know it's strange to be in America and not being able to drive. But if you're that close to the city or that close to work, it's always been that way. Then, especially because I've moved from the UK, where I lived in Birmingham, and I'm only a bus away. There's not really any big points in getting a car. So the mental health of the nation is going to decline if you don't sort out stuff like this. Now, and even for getting on the train, you could be just walking down the street at any time of day. You're going to make people scared to just go outside. And it's going to have a massive detrimental effect to people's mental health. Added to that, you may as well just be in COVID, where you kind of think, is that what they're trying to do? And it kind of makes you feel, and this is obviously a conspiracy theory here, what if the Democrats are staging things like this, where they're actually making these things happen, just so maybe it creates problems for the opposition again? Just a conspiracy theory, right? And what we're really looking at here, and what we're really talking about, are a couple of things, simple things. What are the Democrats actually doing? What is Keir Starmer and the Labour Party actually doing by letting all these people in? Now, bear in mind, I did say that I am an immigrant. I did move over the pond, as we like to call it, because quite honestly, just just to kind of mention this very briefly, when we say over the pond, it doesn't necessarily, I mean, it is like a massive ocean, and the UK do kind of like to over exaggerate things, but the space between the UK and the US is kind of the same kind of space as one side of the US to the other, so we can call it a pond. But anyway, I digress. So, what you're really looking at here, what are the Democrats and people like Keir Starmer actually doing? I would put it to treason, and I would also put it to manslaughter. I'm not 100% sure whether it be deemed as homicide, but definitely either voluntary or involuntary manslaughter. Um, because they're killing a person. It might not be murder, but they might be doing it inadvertently. It might be a secondary effect of policies, etc., etc. But essentially, what they're doing is pretty much treason, because they're doing something that is either knowingly or unknowingly. Get words out. They're doing something that is knowingly hurting their own country, which, if it's a new idea at first and they put policies into place, then you can probably call it a mistake, an accident, etc., etc. But we're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, decades, whatever, in, and they're already on similar policies, especially over the last 4 years. There's no way you can call this mistake. This is just clear negligence. And their policies, or non-action as it might be, and by the way, didn't even know that Kamala Harris was a border czar until Trump actually got in, right? When do these people actually get arrested? And what we're seeing here is essentially V for Vendetta working itself out. Well, that's not what I meant to say. We're essentially watching V for Vendetta play out. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a load of things that seem to be random, but they're actually interconnected. We're having people in one country that's been arrested for things that they're putting on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it these days. We're having people murdered on the streets, on the trains, on the way home. We're having kids being sex trafficked and all the rest of it. And all the time we're being told to just don't worry about it. Just chill, just calm down. It's a freaking horror story. How is this, like, in any way sane? This is essentially a Black Mirror episode. Just waiting for it to freaking end, or it's got to be a cliffhanger or something where there's got to be a third act where this story has to have a happy ending, right? And I don't know whether any other immigrants might be watching this, but for someone who, again, is in a similar situation to the girl who got stabbed, albeit I wasn't running away from persecution. It's got to make you think when you do it the right way, and then you're having so many people jump the line, and then things like this happen. It makes you very, very not only scared, but extremely angry. And I mean, really angry to the point that unfortunately, with Boston being a blue state, you can't 100% just blame Trump or anything. Not that I really would. Definitely the people that have been in over the last 4 years or so, before Trump got in. But it really makes you feel cheated. Now, as I said, I like this girl. Um, I came in the right way, pay the bills, pay the fee, and all the rest of it. Then people sneak in, and this stuff happens. Now, I think this guy wasn't actually an immigrant, but he has been in and out of jail for 14 times. And you think, for the first time, okay, that's really unlucky. Second time, really bad that they did that, but they thought this guy might have learned his lesson, got scared to death, and okay, let him back on the streets, but whatever. Third time, fourth time, fifth time, etc. That's essentially, you may as well committed a crime yourself, because what you're saying is we don't care, or these no bail things. What are the Democrats actually freaking doing here? What are they actually doing? Are they actually thinking? Actually, I don't think they are. Is this intentional? A conspiracy theorist would say that all this stuff is bloody well intentional. And all this is doing is making people scared. Now, what's the answer to this? I don't honestly know. But I think what we have with what President Trump is doing right now in taking over DC and then hopefully going over to Chicago. And yeah, I'm an immigrant saying that Trump needs to do his job. And thank God he is. Um, I don't feel that there's any rush to come to Boston, but I wouldn't mind if he did. I mean, God forbid there's a pedophile, a killer, a rapist, or anything like that, like living a few doors down from where I'm living, all it takes is once. It doesn't matter what the statistics are. Excuse me. All it takes is once. So I think there needs to be a bit more noise online about this. And I think statistics aren't necessarily going to make people feel better. I think there needs to be more people that come online, even if it's just once. Like, I know I've done video after video a few years ago now. But I think if you just only come on once or leave a comment on this video or something to say, I want my voice to be heard, even if you don't feel that it might be heard on the ballot once you start voting, at the very least make your voice heard on here, start your own channel, or even if you're just watching this on the replay or on Fox News or something, at least there is some data, some kind of footprint to say that this is how it's making you feel. Or even if you've experienced this where you've had a loved one, a friend, etc., who's gone through this or has even been a victim like this, I think, especially if you are what I am right now is a permanent resident of the United States, not a full citizen yet, therefore won't be able to vote, but actually technically by the next time there's an election I could be, because of naturalization, assuming I pass. Obviously can't vote in a way that I want to make sure that the Republicans get in, but at the very least can make my voice heard and say, look, I'm not the only one that's scared to death here. Not only am I scared for myself, also scared for my wife's family, anyone's family here. There's a freaking kids over the road that are out playing and they don't really have a high fence. Someone can literally just jump over and just snatch one of them. It's always, what just happened on public transport. Why not like just walking down the street in someone's garden? There's no parents outside half the time. Why not? Like, people have just got to be more. And this isn't I'm not saying this is the fault of the public. It really, truly, utterly isn't. This is the fault of the sick people who are doing this. And by the way, I am no expert on mental health, right? I'm not a doctor in mental health. I'm not a therapist, etc., etc. But if it is known that someone is suffering or has a condition like schizophrenia, bipolar, where there might be happy, happy, happy 1 minute, but then absolute rage the next. And God forbid, that's what actually happened a couple of weeks ago, where they just switched. I don't know if it's actually been confirmed, schizophrenia or whatever it is, but watching the video, the guy just literally sat down. I mean, he was kind of tapping his hands, I think, before the girl went there. So maybe he just thought, right, I'm going to go out. I'm going to just do this to the first person who sits in front of me. But when it's already known that he has issues, when it's already known that he's had 14 priors to this where he's just been let out, maybe it might be an idea to, not make him wait. What was it supposed to be? 6 months, a year, a couple of years before he had to come back to go to trial or something? That's no longer a mental health issue. That is, and as much as it's the guy who did it, and I believe, honestly, either life imprisonment or death at this point, because he obviously has no remorse by not only the fact that it just the casuality of him doing it. Is casuality a word? I don't know. Someone tell me in the comments. Not just by that, but the fact that there just seems to be no remorse whatsoever, and the fact that it's done similar like 14 times, right? I mean, he might not have murdered someone 14 times, but there's definitely some kind of progression. So as much as it is the guy who did it, And there's no excuse, and we're not taking the conversation away from him at all. He should go down for either a really long time, or he should be basically tucked into a room and not come back out. But what I will say, it is as much the fault of that fucking judge as it is the person who got out the knife and stabbed the girl. Now, what we're probably going to keep hearing right now is, well, they actually no, they can't even say that guns are bad. They can't even say tougher gun regulations because it was a freaking knife. As far as I'm aware, it was a Swiss knife, I guess, or the equivalent of. So what they're going to do? They're going to stop selling knives to Boy Scouts. I mean, where does this stuff end? I mean, God forbid the what do you call them? The Democrat Party are still in power. A lot worse it would be now under Trump, and God forbid this happened the other way round. God forbid this was a white guy doing this to a black girl. We'd never hear the end of it. I mean, we're not going to hear the end of it now for different reasons, but Christ almighty, what the hell is going on? So yeah, I actually stayed up the whole night last night. Okay, fine. I'm working a night shift at the moment. Okay, fine, but I really actually wanted to get some sleep last night and maybe a few hours sleep later. And I just couldn't do it. I was actually going to do some editing for another channel for someone else, but I didn't do it because I was just distraught by this. Um, so my questions are these, and they're not questions I actually planned out either. They're just kind of at the top of my head. What repercussions are there for a political party when things like this happened, when they had every chance in the world to stop it or prevent it? Because we are looking at treason, as in letting a lot of people in, and what would that result in? Like cartels, etc., coming in, and then a lot of people being murdered with fentanyl, etc., etc. So they're actively doing something to harm the country that they're supposed to be protecting. That is essentially treason. The other thing, the secondary thing, but just as important, is manslaughter. Might be indirectly, but when it's happened again and again and again, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night or even live with myself knowing that I'd pushed to put a bill through or not even bothered with the border. My own job and people actually dying for it. It's different from the kind of things I've been doing before, where I've been warehouse manager or retail assistants or anything like that, where I actually my actions haven't been directly responsible for killing something. Maybe they get the wrong size or the product isn't holding up as well as it should do, etc., etc. But as far as what I'm putting into policy actually gets people killed, how can these people still be allowed to have their own freedom? They should have as much freedom as the most bloodthirsty criminal, as far as I'm concerned. And it's getting just the same in the UK as well. With Starmer, we just had an Irish guy comedian who is pretty much a comedic god as far as I'm concerned, with Father Ted and the other things it's been producing. I mean, seriously, 5 policemen and is arrested? What the actual fuck? When is Viva Vendetta at the moment going to happen? Now, the other thing is, I really don't think anything I'm saying is racist either. I'll tell you why. If anyone's heard of someone called Tommy Robinson, um, brought up in Luton, a lot of Islamic State people in his own area. Pretty much growing up in Birmingham, an area called Allenrock. If anyone knows it, anyone who's listening to this, who may listen to this, really big problem. I actually, if anyone listens to this, will Google Allenrock, Birmingham. Uh, let's see. No whites allowed. In the area that I grew up in England, there was posters all over the place of no whites allowed. Now, bear in mind, no one really took any notice of this, even though they was there. They was just like you can just walk past it. It's not necessarily a great thing to walk past, but people just generally didn't really like take any notice of it. Not necessarily to say that I was never mugged or anything. I was, um, and you can pretty much almost bet that was racially motivated. There was other things going on, which I don't know if I should really say on here. But if you were to ever listen to anything about what Tommy Robinson was mentioned about in Luton with sex trafficking and all the rest of that, you pretty much had it in Birmingham as well. I didn't realize it was going on at the time, but definitely got looking back on it when you get kebab houses and stuff that was open like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, and there were no pubs around. And I'm not saying no pubs open at the time, but from going, I don't know, I think about a 2 mile stretch of road, I'd probably say about 30 to 40 years ago, there's, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone happens to know this fact, I think there's about 6 or 7 pubs on the Alamotte Road about then. Today, if you was to watch a video of it, to go all the way up and down it, you probably get one, maybe two. I actually think there's just one on the Alamotte Road now. And all the rest were converted into either knocked down for housing, for a mosque. I know one of them was turned into a mosque, and one of them was just turned into shops. There was a local cinema that was turned into a mosque. It's just everywhere, and it's a complete and it's a takeover. But I'm not racist because number one, I did actually have some good friends back in Alamock where there was a lot of Islamic, there was a lot of Muslims. Some of them happened to be great kids. I actually was invited over to the house, and God forbid, I mean, God willing, there I was not murdered, I wasn't groomed or anything like that. So I think that's a plus. But all this leftist stuff where they just let people in, and you kind of thought, well, how are all these people coming over? It's just like they have one of them and then they bring their family over, and there's just nothing done. There's absolutely no firewall against this type of stuff, and they wonder why these things are happening. They wonder why white people's mental health is declining, why they feel nihilistic in any kind of way. It's just because they don't feel that they're being listened to, and all they feel like is they're being lectured to all the goddamn titty fucking Christ time, right? It's just enough is enough with this kind of thing. Just really, really is. Honestly, if I could go back to England right now, which I'm not 100%, let's say, confident in doing, because number one, because I do have a green card and I don't know what's going to happen with all the ICE stuff and the Trump stuff and all the rest of that. I don't know whether I'd be able to go back to England and, I don't know, not be arrested for something that I may have accidentally said or forgot about, which I might have done about 10 to 20 years ago. Or the fact that if I do happen to go over, I know I have someone's invited me to a stag party, as Americans call them, bachelor parties. If I go over a few days, will I be able to get back in? Even though I have a green card and work authorization card, will I be able to get back in? I don't know. But outside of that, I'm too damn freaking scared to. Now, what I'd like to do is, I know it's only a few days away, and God forbid I wouldn't, God willing, I wouldn't be able to get a plane ticket in that amount of time without costing an absolute fortune. But I'd love to go to the September the 13th thing because, more the merrier, and the message has to get through. My main concern, or I don't know whether to actually call this a concern, but I am just waiting for the day where it is 100% V for Vendetta moment, where if you saw the movie or even read the comics or whatever, I never read the comics. I only saw the movie with Hugo Weaving. Absolutely stellar performance, by the way. Um, the little girl who gets shot by the government people, and that incites the violence, causes the violence. Imagine that happening now in real life. It already is. When is it going to be shit hits the fan? I know there's all these, what's the word, non-violence process going on. I'm just waiting for the spark for be all out rioting. I know Tommy. I was about to say a different name there, which wouldn't be right to send my YouTube channel because I don't have permission. It was just almost a Freudian slip. But I'm just wondering where these peaceful protests and when it is going to be the case where what's going to happen. Someone somewhere in this London thing, someone's going to clash, even if it's a neo-Nazi or neo not very nice person from the Second World War, because I don't even know what to say on YouTube now without any. I mean, I can't be demonetized because I don't have the subscription, the subs or the watch time at the moment. But God forbid, um, yeah, I just don't know where this is. Well, I think we all know where this is going. It's either going to end in blood, it's going to end up in a revolution or civil war or something. But everyone's mental health isn't stabbing someone 3 times randomly. Yes, there might be a condition there, but honestly, what I would call mental health are things like anxiety, depression, and all that kind of stuff. And if anyone's seen the movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas, yeah, I get it could be something like that, but I don't feel that was a snapping moment, because before that unfortunate incident, actually, no, I'll say it for what it is. It's a horrific incident. Before that happened, the footage on public transport clearly shown him do things like fidgets, tap his fingers. I think it might have even shown him singing or humming to himself before she got on. She got on, waited a few minutes, and done the act. Didn't even care to hide it. Blood trickling, took his coat off to like hide it, like just so in case he's walking by police. There was literally nothing to suggest that he'd done anything wrong. God forbid what he did or said to the other people on, because I don't think anyone's shown the footage of what the other people's reaction to it at the time. I mean, I know they're on the phones, but Jesus Christ, surely, and don't, yeah, surely he can't be serious, and please don't call me Shirley. Surely someone else would have freaking saw it, even though people are on the phones. I can't think that I don't know, maybe they were just so froze and they just couldn't do anything. I guess that might have been my reaction. I'm not a violent person, but the guy was using a knife, and you have the Second Amendment. Why the hell wasn't anyone using a gun, or at the very least pointing their gun at the guy? I know there was only a couple of people there, but the chances, come on, man. Come on. So, anyway, my concluding thoughts on before I move on to just hitting upon Keir Starmer and the rest of it again is that why are we not talking about every single thing that's going on? I guess because 99% of the time we don't see it. Yes, it's very sad to hear about things like Lake and Riley and all the other unfortunate incidents, horrific incidents that happen all over the country these days, and nothing's really been sorted until now. We just don't see them. It's more of it's a headline or a report on Fox News or CNN or something like that. I think this is the first time in a while where we've seen something that's just so horrific and distasteful where it kind of really gets you. And I think the whole casualness of it all, where it was just like, okay, just sitting there and then stabby, stabby, stabby. It's like, is this real? Are we just actually watching something that's staged here? Because honestly, I think it could be. It actually could be. Just remember, the Democrats. I know there's no 100% proof, but if you put two together, they try to murder Trump, assassinate him, just for politics and all this Russiagate stuff. And just to add to it, something that has been on my mind ever since President Trump's come to power. My question is this, as far as, and I don't really know how it would be affected by the first, and I can't remember what the other amendment is. Any Americans listening to this, just comment for me, please. What is the amendments that basically says you have the right to vote? I don't know whether that's the same instance as when you do like Senate votes or House votes or things like that, but I think it might be the general thing. If someone could comment, that'd be really, really great. But what we're seeing is an absolute blind refusal to go by anything that Trump is doing, outside of one instance, which is the DC mayor actually doing something with Trump and praising him for what's going on in DC. And the thing is, again, this Charlotte or Charlottesville, I can't remember which way around it is. I think it's called Charlotte. Um, as far as I'm aware, it is actually a decently safe place to live. But even then, you still have things like this happen because it only takes one. Now, my question, anyway, I'm actually going all over the place here. Again, apologies, this is not scripted. Okay. My question is this. Let's just take, for example, the big, beautiful bill. Now, that was the big one. What we're seeing from the Democrats for every other single time as well, but especially for this one, is that every single one of them unanimously, if I can get my words out right, all at once voted nay. Now, what that does, um, even though the Republicans have more seats and everything, and theoretically, if basically all the Republicans vote yes and all the Democrats vote no, you're always going to get a yes for the Republicans, which theoretically should be the way it is. But because every single time you can pretty much depend on the Democrats to vote no every single time, that puts an unfair amount of stress onto the Republicans that are voting no, because I believe for the big beautiful bill there was about 4 or 5 of them, and if all of those did vote no, that would have mean the bill wouldn't have passed. Now that shouldn't be the case. The democratic thing should be that anyone can vote how they like, and that's fine. But I think if all the Democrats in unison do no, and I can't believe if there were 3 or 4 or 5 Republicans who voted no, I can't believe none of the Democrats voted yes. Not freaking one of them. And it just adds and adds and adds to this fucking image that they're putting out that all they're about is against Trump. The only thing I've seen positive in any kind of way, and I know it won't work because I do come from the UK and I know what he's kind of talking about, is lo and behold, Bernie Sanders. Now, what he did say is that he wants basically to everyone have healthcare regardless of if they're working or not, which is fine in theory. It's absolutely fantastic in theory. Unfortunately, the UK proves it won't work, especially if you have a load of immigrants or, more importantly, illegal immigrants. Because all that seems to happen, and I did work the NHS for 5 years as a receptionist on the front lines, that people go absolutely mental if you don't give them their free prescriptions. Like, for example, and I can't believe this is still the case, spoke to a friend of mine the other night saying paracetamol, like painkillers, like low level over the counter painkillers can be like less than $1 if you just get it from over the counter, or less than £1 if you're in the UK, which it would be the case, wouldn't it? And by the prescription, it costs the NHS what, £30, or that would be about $50 or $40, round about that kind of ballpark. And you kind of think, what the hell? No wonder they're losing a load of money in UK. And yeah, I get Bernie Sanders has the right idea by it, but essentially he's talking about an NHS, but for the UK, it's not going to work because there are going to be that many people who just want to live up the state. God knows that there are the kind of mothers that just have kids just to get welfare. That's never going to work, and you're just going to end up in a really, really bad situation, and you're going to end up like the UK. So that's why I'm sorry, but people need to pay for certain things. It just needs to be the case because you need to be able to trust if people are paying for stuff, then they're more likely to not abuse the system, right? I mean, they can try. God knows people try, but there's less chance. Like for example, in the UK, if you book an appointment with a doctor and you don't turn up, there's no repercussions for that. If that was an American thing, I'm guessing they'll probably be charged for the thing, which should happen. Even if there's like only a £5 or a £10 charge, for people who are on welfare, they're obviously going to want to keep their appointment because they don't want to be charged because they're going to be claiming money from the state, right? So I get where Bernie Sanders is coming from. It's just that it's been a proven thing that it's not going to work, where regardless of you working or not, you get complete health care. It's just not going to work. Great idea, heart in the right place, but unfortunately, because we are capitalist in the West, it just can't happen. I wish it could, it just can't. But my point is probably the only one. Okay, get Mandani, but that's a completely another like kettle of fish that we're talking about there. All the rest of them is just Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. And even when you get a killing like this, that it's like just it's clear as day what the fuck is going on there. All they can say is, oh yeah, the Republicans are using this against the Democrats once again. And it took them 2 fucking weeks to talk about this shit. If it happened to me, I'd want it to be the day of, just so no one fucking suffers this again. Honestly, right now, Charlottesville, I'm thinking of somewhere else. Even if it's a red state, if you see something like that happen in a video on YouTube, it should not only be immediately, and that's enough for the freaking guard to come in and sort that town or city out. Why is this even a question? No wonder people are getting depressed and scared and anxious over what the hell is going on right now, because over the last 4 years or so, no one has their back until President Trump come in, right? No one has had our back. And I'm saying this as an immigrant, a legal one, but as an immigrant. And I can't believe that poor girl came from the UK, not the UK, Ukraine, has the UK in it at the start. It's a thing, I guess. But the point is, you come from abroad, trying to not die from bombs going off all around her, to somewhere that theoretically should be the place of the American dream, and lo and behold, practically straight away she gets murdered. I don't know how long she was in the country. I don't know if that's by being confirmed by anyone. I know all the news about it is just coming out right now, but to come thinking you're going to get a better life and the promise of the American dream, she done it right, by the way. She didn't skip. She didn't go over a wall. She didn't go on a boat. Well, I guess she probably did come over on a boat. She done everything right. That could be me. That could be my wife. Unfortunately, we do have a two-party thing going on in the US, which, okay, it's what's worked for them for I don't know how long it's been going for, but let's say for the sake of argument, it's been going on for 250 years. It's worked out with them, but we essentially don't have an option for another party right now. God forbid Kamala Harris still goes for get her words out. I'm just so freaking angry about this. It really is just white noise now, isn't it? But this should be the thing to get people to pay attention. This should be the call to arms. This should be the thing where every single Democrat should be thinking, who the hell am I voting for? Unfortunately, you're getting, and God forbid, if I do go back to England, this is probably going to be the thing that gets me arrested. But you get all the trans activists, all the LGBT, what the hell ever activists. And all they do all day long is protest this, protest that for things that people, it doesn't even matter these days. By the way, I have got like, chilling news for the LGBTQ, AII, whatever the fuck plus community, right? If it's the case that the media is behind you, you are not the minority. Might be the minority, but you are not the victims. You are making everyone else the victim by claiming and screaming out the hell loud that you're the victim. No one cares about they them pronouns. What people are worried about is a roof over their head, worrying whether they are going to pay the bills, whether they're going to eat, or, and by the way, this is a choice that I've had to make in my own life, whether you're going to eat or keep the electricity on so you can keep warm in the winter or the air conditioning on in the freaking summer. I've been in that position. Thank God there are a few places I lived in, like right now, where the utilities are not are part of the rent. So it's not extra. Thank God for that. But when it is, Jesus Christ, that's not. Once you actually have to make that decision, you grow up and start saving your money really, really freaking quickly. Unless you like to sponge up people. And all these people, and I'm going to tell you something, and by the way, as soon as I say it, I know that I don't look, I'm not saying anything against MCR. As they actually said nothing about this. It's actually got nothing to do with them. I'm just saying this is where this is at. Went to an MCR concert, My Chemical Romance concert the other night, which was Sunday night. It was an absolutely amazing concert by them, and like the moon above them looked absolutely fantastic. It's like all the right conditions made it an absolutely fantastic night. It was brilliant because it was my wife's 40th birthday. We had an amazing time. Now, as far as I'm aware, because my wife has bought these tickets, from what I can understand, they were not cheap. I'm going to probably say in 100. So very appreciative of that. Extremely appreciative. What I've come to learn is that yes, we were not up at the stage, but pretty much almost as close to it, without being in the pit where people are standing right up against the stage. The people within the pit, as far as I'm aware, paid what? I think $3,000 a head. That'd be the equivalent of about £2,000 in UK money. And it's really weird to see that yes, there are a couple of families and stuff that went in there, but a good amount of them seem to be, let's put it this way, it wouldn't surprise me if they have they them pronouns. And I'm thinking, okay, fine, whatever, they love MCR, I don't really care. It's not my place to really say anything about it. But then I'm not going to say who they are before the people who went before MCR on stage, but they said something to the effect of like one of the things between the songs saying, "This is great. This is the UK's." Oh no, they said this is Britain's new. What did they call it? New national anthem, and they just said, "Free Palestine, free Palestine." I'm like, are you kidding? I just want to listen to some music. And God, this is another thing. You get ads from Heels and Babyface YouTube channel go on about like just picking pronouns on Starfield, but you also get things like this amid, and he thanked like immigrants who make the company run. I'm like, yes, okay, I'm an immigrant. He didn't say legal or illegal. He just said immigrants. So I'll give him the pass on that. But I'm like, do you realize what you're saying? I get it's a blue state, but do you actually realize what you are saying? Do you even know? Outside of the fact that it was, what do you call it? It's not Istanbul, Israel. It was invaded by Hamas, Palestine, and stuff. So why you're saying free Palestine, etc. So, I'm not really going to get into all that. It's just why even bring it up? Essentially, what you're meant to really be doing when you're doing a gig, especially when you just like the cover, not the cover, the preamble to the main band. By the way, I really appreciate MCR giving this slot to us, or the organisers, or however that works. I hope you enjoy our music. Thank you so much. We'll go away now, and please enjoy the rest of your night. That's all really should be said, and we get all that. And it's the same thing coming from the Democrats as well. All we hear is, "Oh my God, what about the mental health of the people committing these crimes?" Well, guess what? The people who are related or are friends of the people who are being lost also have this thing called mental health. Not necessarily in the same way, it's not schizophrenia or anything, but it's definitely grief. That's a mental health thing. Does anyone want the Democrats to talk about that? I guess they don't. And yeah, this channel is supposed to be tips and tricks for your mental health, like things to buy for Christmas, or little things like breathing exercises and stuff like that. And yes, I know I haven't posted anything in a long while, and I don't know how long it is before I do post another thing. So apologies if you do subscribe to this video. And nothing comes out for a little while. Something will. Please be patient if you are still subscribed. I'm not asking you to. I'm just saying it's just appreciated if you do. It costs nothing. But something like this, I know it's, and I shouldn't use the word only. It is one instance, but there have been many others. There have been stabbings, there have been shootings, there have been killings, way more after this girl has been killed and stabbed. There have been probably about 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in Chicago, at least, in another city. So why this person? It's just happens to be the one. I'll tell you why. Because they waited 2 weeks. I think it would still be horrific, but if they did it straight away, even with all the bullshit messaging they keep adding on, like this is the Republicans just being white supremacists and dictatorship and all the rest of it. If they did it immediately, it would probably go under the radar. And it's unfortunate that we kind of need things like this to happen to open up the eyes of the public, because I can see, and I know it's only 7 or 8 months. I think, is it? Yeah, I think this is the 8th month now. Ninth. Oh my god! So roughly 8-9 months that Trump has been in power now, again as the 47th president. Technically 46, because I don't think we had a president over the last 4 years, but that's another conversation. Just know, everyone, that it's not just the fully fledged American citizens that are born and raised in America that feel this way. And it's not just red states that feel this way. There's a lot of people that voted for Trump in blue states. None of us want this. And if you look at people like Karen Bass, Michelle Wu, they don't reflect everyone in their constituents or the state. Just remember that. And I think the same can be said about the UK. And whatever you hear about the UK and this whole, when President Trump was over to the UK in his second bilateral visit, and Keir Starmer said, we've had a long history of free speech. I think the amount of cringe that was produced from that almost broke the back of every single UK citizen, and not everyone, because there's the activists, there's the transgendered and everything that don't really believe in anything outside of, I just want to change what's between my legs. Every sane-ish, I say ish because I do have to kind of precursor that. I think every technically sane person would just cringe, facepalm, or whatever you want to do about that. But I just wanted my thoughts to be known, because God forbid, I mean, okay, capital punishment. Let's talk about capital punishment. I just want to preface this with anyone you might hear online that mentions capital punishment. How many times in a row can I say that? Like Beetlejuice won't say it the third time. Anyone who suggests that capital punishment should be used, I know President Trump is using it for DC at the moment. But what I would say about it is you have to be absolutely 1,000,000,000% sure. You cannot be sure enough before convicting the person. And what I would actually say is there would probably need to be either capital punishment or life imprisonment without the chance for bail. And when I say life, I mean do not come back out. Because I know life imprisonment can mean like 40, 50 years or so. But if you're like, I don't know, 20, then you can still get out at 50 or 60. I mean, put them in and throw away the key. And I'll tell you for why. If it's something that is absolutely provable, as in security cameras and all the rest of it, it's like the stabbing with what just happened with the girl from Ukraine. If it happens to be the fact that there's absolutely no remorse, then yeah, capital punishment. But if it's a case where there has to be an investigation to find it out, I think you can only do life imprisonment, because God forbid if it has to be taken into a jury, and God forbid they're wrong about it, then you've just essentially killed an innocent man. Yeah. So, and the thing is, though, as well, if we're talking about Look, with the politicians, we're looking at treason here because they're harming the country that they're trying to protect. They should be protecting, but they're not through action or inaction. The UK got rid of um, capital punishments in '98, and I believe the last person to be hung was 1946. So yeah, there's, I guess, fun fact for you. But my general question here is, how much proverbial shit has to hit the fan before the politicians actually do something? Thank God President Trump is actually doing something. I mean, if you're going to say it's not happening fast enough, what I would say is not fast enough is anything less than getting rid of crime immediately, everywhere, ever, which obviously is impossible because it does take time. But I believe he's doing things as fast as possible. And I'm going to give you probably another hot take, which I know there's people in my personal life and probably online as well that is going to disagree with this fact. Sorry, not facts. Hot take is that, look, I don't even care about the Epstein files being released. I mean, if they had to be, I'd probably do it after Trump is done with his term, purely for the fact that he's doing more good than bad. He might be doing some bad. There might be stuff that I don't know about, that I'm not really reading into, or anything like that. But Jesus, closing the border, getting all the freaking crime done with, and or like bringing the economy back up and making things affordable again. Christ Almighty! Deal with that first. Essentially, get an English saying is get your money's worth out of him. And then I guess if you want to still do the Epstein stuff, because I get it. There's victims of that, and if Trump is implicated in that, then let him do the good first. And if he is implicated, let that happen after. Most likely, it's not going to be coming back after this election. At the very most, is probably going to be someone who is helping whoever come next. Most likely, it's going to be either JD Vance or Mark Rubio. Um, yeah, he'll probably be a consultant to them. But if I get the people probably want closure for anyone who's lost someone or has been abused, and they just basically want the list out of stuff. But honestly, for the sake of, I mean, really, what's the alternative? What if we did vote Kamala in? Would she got any people back, any hostages back? Would there be World War III right now? I probably say yes. So I think that's a little bit more important than closure and people's mental health, at the very least, for the next few years. Because let's just get through this. And let's say Trump was the only person in the Republican Party had anything to do with it, if at all, then let's get someone like Vance or Rubio in and then deal with that. Because right now, I am so thankful that we have a president that, at the very least, I'm not just saying that he cares, but actually showing that he cares. And that's honestly, and I think Megyn Kelly kind of hit upon what the reaction was when he did get elected, is that when he kind of woke up to the results, and when I say woke up, I don't mean the word woke. I mean actually arisen from slumber the next day after the election went on June the night, because it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when the results are final, I think, or when we knew he would be president and he gave a speech and everything. I think it's when people actually heard the news that he's going to be 47 president, there was a simultaneous sigh of relief all around the country. Whether you like him or hate him, I know people kind of wanted him at the absolute bare minimum so that Harris didn't get in. They needed Harris to not get in. And I think that alone has kind of at least calmed a lot of people down. So all I'm going to say to that is thank you, President Trump. Even if you aren't actually doing the things that you say that you're doing, at least it looks like that you're doing something now, right? Anyway, as another YouTuber would probably say, that's all I got for today. Go away now. Or as I like to say it at the end of my videos. Oh, before I actually do say it, please, 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 please let me know your thoughts about this. I'd love to know them. And even if people only just click onto this, repeat of this and only watch it for 2 seconds, at least share it out there, because or even do your own video, put your own X post up, or do your own TikTok or something. But this is something that cannot wait anymore. It can't wait. It can't be silenced. It can't be pushed over, because too many times, and look, I'm glad that it waited 2 weeks, because if it came out there and then, it would be another thing where a prayer would have been said, like, well, our thoughts would be with you, and we'd probably be moved on. I think the way it went down is probably the best way it did. Just like Linham in the UK had been arrested by 5 policemen in the way that he did for those tweets. I think we just need a lot of good, and for these things not to happen in vain. And that's why I say share. I don't even care if I get the popularity from this. We just need it to not be in vain. Because it's like I always say, at the end of the day, it gets dark.